Greetings, fellow travelers. This is Robin on the Road, your concierge for all things travel. And today I'd like to take you on the road with me to Hanover, Virginia, and a tour of PoleGreen Church. Pack your bags. Let's go. On a recent on-the-road trip through Hanover County, Virginia, I had the pleasure of stopping by PoleGreen Church. I had been to PoleGreen before, and the beauty and peace of this place was something that stayed with me, and I knew I needed to return. Virginia is rich in American history, but I find this location is unique. PoleGreen Church tells the story of religious freedom, not only in Virginia and America, but also the world. The question of the Hanover dissenters and members of the PoleGreen Church still seem relevant today. Is religious freedom ever something you felt was in jeopardy? Can the state legally demand loyalty to one religion, sponsor it with your taxes while negating allegiance to another? Can the government prevent you from worshiping your religious beliefs? And lastly, if you have no right to your beliefs, do any of your other rights exist? The Walk of Religious History Highlights is on my way to the church. Having the British government work hand in hand with the Anglican Church brings about corruption. Colonist taxes are used to pay the clergy, provide them with housing and 200 acres of land. However, failure to attend church would result in being brought before a magistrate and forced to pay a fine. This makes religious freedom one of the most desired liberties for the American colonist. Quoting Dr. Dan Roberts, whose recording of A Moment in Time can be heard for free as you tour the church, democracy as a process and liberty in all its forms is never a finished product. The founding generation and even the people of England protest the royal governor and Parliament with the desire of making religious freedom a right. Parliament passes the Act of Toleration in 1689, allowing dissenters to the Anglican Church to create their own church, provided they sign an oath of loyalty and promise not to take up arms against king and church. However, their taxes will still go to support the Anglican Church. While the House of Burgess will pass a similar law in Virginia, the royal governor will not put it into effect for decades. The name PoleGreen comes from the original owner of the land grant and is named by Samuel Morris and his dissenters, who were tired of the corruption at the Anglican Church, and in 1740, Morris and his Hanover dissenters missed church and practiced religion on their own. They are harassed, discouraged, and suppressed by the Anglican Church. He and his dissenters are brought before a judge and forced to pay a fine. Morris and 3 others eventually find themselves in front of Royal Governor Gooch, whom they convince they are no threat. He grants them the right to build 4 reading rooms. One of these reading rooms still survives today in Louisa County, Virginia. Samuel Davies comes to the attention of Samuel Morris and his dissenters when he travels to Hanover County for missionary work with his mentor, William One-Eyed Robinson, who agrees to preach if his pay can go to Davies. Born in Newcastle, Delaware in 1723, at the age of 15, Davies declares his faith and is educated in classics and theology. He's ordained in 1747 at the age of 23. When he returns home from his missionary work, Davies finds that his wife and son have died. When the members of PoleGreen Church ask him to return in 1748, he decides that his health and grief are enough to make him go, and he remains at PoleGreen as preacher for 11 years. Davies' preaching is so incredible he attracts thousands of members to his church, both black and white, free and enslaved. It's his feelings toward African Americans which truly makes Davies a man ahead of his time. Teaching slaves to read and write is not illegal in Virginia during the 1700s. Davies baptizes and teaches over 1,000 free and enslaved blacks, believing reading the Word of God as well as hearing it is vital to improve their lives, and once learned, the ability to read needed to be taught to others, making the black population of 1700s Virginia much more literate than that of 1800s Virginia. 2 people listening to his sermons at PoleGreen are young Patrick Henry and his mother, Sarah. Although Henry's father is a vestryman and his uncle and namesake a minister at the Anglican Church in Hanover, Patrick's mother is a dissenter, and she takes her son to PoleGreen to hear Davies preach a Presbyterian heritage, believing all political authority belongs to the people. People are always more powerful than the ruler they created, and they are free to remove them at will. Sarah Henry requires her son to recreate the sermons on his way home, and Patrick Henry will credit Samuel Davies and his incredible oratory skills as his inspiration on his future crusade for religious and civic freedom. The dinner table at Patrick Henry's home must have been legendary, with his father and uncle on the side of the Anglican Church and his mother and grandfather dissenters. Quoting Dr. Dan Roberts of A Moment in Time, the free recording at PoleGreen Church, To Davies, liberty was a key word above all others in the sermons of the Great Awakening, and they emphasized freedom from sin, freedom to exercise conscience in the face of unjust laws and rulers, and freedom to fight to the death to secure liberty for the future. Reading Samuel Davies' sermons and Patrick Henry's speeches, you can see how these men were intertwined. Were it not for his relationship with Samuel Davies, Patrick Henry may never have made his fiery "give me liberty or give me death" speech. Henry takes up the cause of religious and civil freedom, including his demands for a Bill of Rights in the U.S. Constitution. In 1759, Davies is convinced to leave his beloved congregation in Hanover to become president of New Jersey College in Princeton. As a young man, Samuel Davies had traveled to England in order to secure funds for the college, and he will serve there as president from 1759 until his death in 1761 at the age of 38. He is buried at Princeton Cemetery. Samuel Davies is considered one of the greatest preachers of his time, and his sermons will be read for the next 50 years after his death. Then, in 1779, Thomas Jefferson writes what he considers his life's most important achievement, the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. Adopted by the Virginia General Assembly on January 16, 1786, the statute is a statement of Jefferson's philosophy that God created the world and of man's capacity to rule himself, with the second paragraph declaring that no man shall be compelled to frequent or support any religious worship place or ministry, or suffer on account of his religious opinions or belief. James Madison takes up the case for religious freedom in Virginia after Jefferson becomes minister to France. Later, Madison will compose the Bill of Rights for the U.S. Constitution. The First Amendment stating, "Congress shall make no law providing an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." While some states may take longer to enforce this amendment, by 1877, all states grant religious freedom to their citizens. The Civil War is fought around PoleGreen Church, and in 1864, as Lee and Grant fight their way to Richmond, PoleGreen finds itself in the middle of the two armies. Trenches still exist next to the church. Grant's army overtakes the Confederate position at PoleGreen and places sharpshooters in the church. To dislodge these men, William S. White, a gunner from the Virginia Howitzers, fires a shot that catches the church on fire, a church his father had been baptized in. The parishioners do not have the money to rebuild, and PoleGreen fades into the past. Fortunately for history, Dr. Robert Bluford visits the 3-acre site of PoleGreen Church in 1977. Beginning talks with Hanover County to preserve the site, he finds the property is owned by 2 Presbyterian churches. Then, in 1991, Bluford helps form the PoleGreen Church Society. They are able to acquire 110 acres of land, keeping the urban sprawl from overtaking history. The church frame is reconstructed in steel thanks to archaeology and drawings of the church made in 1862 by a Civil War soldier. A parking lot, visitor center, and informative signs are added. Things to know before you go. PoleGreen Church is located a few miles off the 295 freeway in Hanover County. The site is free to visit and located in an area rich with Revolutionary and Civil War history. The Civil War battlefields of Cold Harbor and the 7 Days Battles overlap in the area for miles. Tour information is on the PoleGreen website, and a brochure with phone number is located on site. Dial to hear Dr. Dan Roberts' A Moment in Time recordings. The sound quality is not the best, but the information is well done, and I used it for my video. I will provide links in my description. Mobility impaired can be accommodated. Planned on spending at least 45 minutes. The town of Hanover is a few miles down the road with restaurants and overnight accommodations. Weddings and special religious holidays are still conducted at PoleGreen Church. Visit the website for more information. I highly recommend the next time you are traveling up the 295 in Virginia, stop by the Ghost Church of Virginia and enjoy the tranquility, peace, and beauty that is PoleGreen Church. Lastly, I would like to thank you, fellow traveler, for joining me on a tour of PoleGreen Church. If you enjoyed my content, please subscribe, share, like, rumble, you know the drill. I really appreciate and enjoy your comments. It means the world to me that you take your time and share your thoughts. And check out my latest video on the Keystone Truck and Tractor Museum. Until next time, this is Robin on the Road, your concierge for all things travel, and I hope to see you out there on a road of your own. Until then, safe travels.